Hi, I'm Rose, and you're watching The Sovereign Soul. So, I am a nervous system and soul guide. I help people to obtain emotional freedom and inner peace by supporting you to become a master of yourself. In today's video, I want to talk about self-awareness and how self-awareness allows you to change and morph and turn into the versions of yourself that you would like to be. So, self awareness is the conscious perception and the observation of yourself. And in this instance, conscious means aware, knowing what you are thinking and feeling. But conscious observation is honest, truthful, and accepting. And in this case, conscious means from a higher frequency of love. So that awareness is not damning, it's from a space of kindness. Self awareness is a gift because what it does, it allows you to know what your limitations are. And your limitations are the things that trap your freedom. And therefore, if you know what's trapping your freedom and what your limitations are, it can give you back free will and free choice over your life. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And what it means is basically most people are running on an autopilot. So most people are living from their ego. And other terms for this is subconscious, your unconscious, your pain body, or when the nervous system is in fight or flight. And all of these autopilot programs keep you in victim consciousness and away from personal responsibility, free will, and then essentially control over your own reality because it feels almost like something else has the remote on you. When you are unaware of your patterns, then of course you wouldn't be aware on how to change them. Sometimes you get people who can be really aware of their patterns and how it influences their life, and they can logically understand what they need to do to change, but somehow it feels like the head and the heart are not syncing. So you're living in two realities, in two parallel timelines. And what that essentially makes you feel is like you're not in control of your life. And this is where Carl Jung's quote comes in, because essentially it's like everything else outside of you is deciding your reality. And it's not only about physical circumstances, but it's also about how you feel inside of yourself. So therefore, when things are going badly and you're feeling badly, it feels like you don't have control over your inner landscape, which is your emotions and your thoughts and your reactions. And the way to change this is to become aware of your patterns. Your patterns are your story, your trauma, the things that you've lived. Your patterns are your belief systems, and your patterns are your identity. When you're able to view these things without attachment, you have the ability to change them. The way we really change something is through honesty and safety. So, in the last slide, where I spoke about knowing what your stories and your beliefs are and the things that you identify with, being honest about that, but then also being willing to change it, which means observing those things without attachment. Hence, me saying you can't be attached to it, because as soon as you feel attached to something, that is what gives you safety, and you will not want to change it because you believe that it is a part of you. So, signs that you don't feel safe to change. You are offended by the truth rather than liberated by it. Perhaps you are in a state of denial about the truth. And that's again where that honesty comes in with yourself. Perhaps you are justifying or defending your patterns. You could also be in denial of your patterns. That's a way to explain being dishonest. And certainly don't like it if anybody has to point out your patterns. The reason why you would be fearful or in those states of non-safety is because you fear change. You fear vulnerability, which means you fear being seen, you fear being wrong, and therefore not fitting in because everybody else might be doing it and everybody else might be believing in what they believe in. And then all of a sudden, you're not going to fit in anymore. And human beings, we are communal beings. And so we want to be connected to one another. And then, of course, there's that loss of identity. And the ego is very attached to identity. It believes that how you live this life, who you are more than anything else, makes you who you are. And we can't lose identity if we are still clinging to it, believing that that is all we are. So I would also have to say that safety comes with having the courage to want something different. And that's also where the change comes from. So first, it's about being safe in yourself. And then it's about wanting something that makes more sense. So therefore, in a sense, identifying with something else rather than what you are currently feeling safe identifying with. And that means you do have to challenge your beliefs in a massive way and not be attached to them. I think the main reason why people don't feel safe and why we don't change, these are almost like symptoms of a root cause. And I personally believe, which I'm willing to change that belief, but I also see and I feel that I know that people are afraid of their shadow. And that is why they defend and justify and are afraid of the vulnerability, because the fear of being seen is the fear of admitting that they think that they're bad. Fear is the ultimate control mechanism. It is what is used to control people en masse, but it is also what has been programmed into us to keep us in a state of fear of ourselves. Because when you fear for yourself or fear of yourself, you will not know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, you can never be self-empowered. You will never have mastery over yourself, and you will always be giving your power away to everything else. So fear of your shadow and what you think you're going to find there is what keeps you in a space of denial of the truth. Your shadow and that fear of thinking that something in there is dark, and that's why they call it the shadow, that your fear of your darkness is actually what's keeping you away from your light. And if you're wanting to get relief from your emotional patterns or the war and the pain going on inside of you, the only way through is to be able and willing and strong enough inside yourself to move towards the shadow. The path to your light is through your emotions, and specifically healing your relationship to your negative emotions, because that is the only thing that is sitting within the shadows. It's the basis of your entire relationship with yourself. It's got to do with your relationship to your negative emotions. So what is your shadow and what is shadow work? Your shadow is nothing more than a wounded inner child. And often people they will talk about shadow work and they will talk about inner child healing. And actually, they are exactly the same thing. Your perception of the shadow is the fear that keeps you away from it. And the thing that you're actually staying away from is a very wounded little child within yourself. When you heal your inner child, you are making friends with your shadow. And this happens when you heal your relationship to your negative emotions. It's actually quite simple, yet that fear and the beliefs and the stories that we have around it of what we think is going to fall apart is the thing that keeps us away from seeing it as something very simple. Your soul communicates through emotions. Every emotion that you have is a signal from your soul. And every negative emotion that you have is an opportunity to release a burden from your soul. Negative emotions feel like a burden on us. And they come across in all different ways. And that resistance to what we are feeling, the judgment to what we are feeling, the not wanting to feel what we feel and thinking that it's bad, thinking it's that shadow self that isn't worthy of being seen. In fact, it is scarier to see it and better to run away from it. It places a burden on your soul. Your soul doesn't differentiate between a good emotion and a bad emotion. To your soul, an emotion is only an expression. It is just an experience. There is nothing more, nothing less. And your soul needs to be able to express all emotion. When I talk about expressing emotion, I'm not talking about taking your feelings out on other people or making other people responsible for what you're feeling. This is about deep introspection, and this is about taking full responsibility and ownership of your own emotions and your own soul, and learning to communicate with your soul, to hear it and to listen to what signal it is trying to send you and what you need to listen to. If you can imagine that it is your soul that is made in the image of God. We are taught that man was made in the image of God, and most people believe that that means it's the physical body and what we look like. And I am going to propose the same philosophy as Marguerite Porete wrote about, that your soul is made in the image of God. And what the image of your soul is actually divine love. That is what the true nature of man is. We currently are totally disconnected from that through fear, actually. But when the soul is full of that burden and pain and fear, it's offline. And essentially, we are then disconnected from the divine. So that image that we actually are, the mirror image of love, is not living through us. It is something that sits dormant and asleep inside of us. And for us to be able to bring that back online, to bring the soul back online and to reconnect with it, we first have to acknowledge its burdens with love. Love is the medicine that will allow us to come back to who we truly are. The burdens of your soul are emotions which need safety to be seen, with love for the innocent child within you. And you can see how this all ties together. The fear of yourself is nothing more than an emotion in the first place, the fear of the shadow. But then when you look past the shadow and understand that it's a belief of something is bad inside you, you think you're bad. And you look beyond that and you realize that there's an innocent child inside of you that was pushed down. The emotions were pushed down. in order for that child to fit in and be safe in its environment. In order to survive its childhood, we have experienced multiple things in our lives. Perhaps you've experienced enormous amounts of trauma and you carry an enormous amount of shame. Perhaps you don't see value in yourself. Perhaps you don't feel deserving. Perhaps you don't feel seen at all. You feel alone and you feel like you're broken. These are all indications that there is a child within you that needs to be seen with love. And that is what your soul is trying to tell you. The child needs to be seen in safety. And safety means love, understanding, compassion, no judgment. And you create the safety in yourself through awareness, that conscious awareness that I spoke about. The child within you needs kindness, compassion, understanding, patience, acceptance, and love. And you are the one that holds the key to giving yourself that. And that essentially holds the key to your freedom, and it holds the potential to live as your divine self, to actually live out that love that you know is actually the core of who you are. It allows you to reconnect to being who you know you truly are, and also to see yourself as what you truly are rather than hiding away from that. So I have created a series of questions. The purpose is for you to gain insight into yourself and your current relationship with your negative emotions, because this is the bridge. It builds the bridge to being kind to yourself, to viewing yourself differently, and it builds the bridge to get into a safe zone, to understand yourself better, and to create a safe zone for the little child so that you can actually start taking responsibility to change your life on so many levels, and actually the deepest level of your being. So I have put the link into the description, where you can access these questions for yourself. And then in the next video, I'm going to go deeper into your relationship to your emotions and your negative emotions. I've also created a free resource library for personal development and spiritual development. This is a series of work that I've created over the last decade. It is books, workbooks, energy healings, courses, guided meditations, and articles. The link is also in the description, and I have also left my email address if anybody has any questions, or if you could give me perhaps any positive feedback, positive or negative, just feedback really, for me to be able to make these videos better for you.